What I'm working on here is a sorted berry patch. This is a strip of land that's kind of in an odd place between a ramp and a fence, and we're going to transform it into something special. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. What you're seeing here is a tilled strip. So this was like hard grass, and it's pretty hard ground. So I ran over it a couple times with a BCS tractor, tilled a strip out that we're going to put in a blackberry, raspberry, kind of a mixed berry patch. Now there's some unique design characteristics here. First off, this is an odd little piece of land next to the fence, next to the inside gate, and we're essentially putting in mainly raspberries, some blackberries, but all of these plants can take heavy pruning. So they're going to grow fruit on the new shoots, and they can essentially be pruned back to the ground. We're leaving enough room that somebody can still mow around the berry patch. And once we get all these plants buried in here, kind of in the center of this patch, I'm going to actually use cardboard and heavy mulch around all the plants, and then just mound in as much wood chips as I can get my hands on. What we'll end up with is a berry patch that has assorted berries that tend to come out of the center. And later we'll put a T-post here and a T-post in the middle and a T-post on the other end to kind of run some wires. But we're essentially going to train all of the shoots that come up into the center of this area. Once a year we'll come around the outside and till, and I may end up later having a kind of a mound at the end here of rocks and or a little retaining wall, because we are kind of sloped towards my direction here. So we don't want the water to flow down here. But essentially, it's an area that isn't used for much. So we're going to take as much vertical space as we can take with berries. We're going to try to keep it kind of on a double reach bed, so that we can reach in from either side to pick the berries. And then at the end of the season, we just essentially take a string trimmer or something to trim it, and we just cut it out and leave behind just a little stump. It's going to look kind of like what we got over here in this pot, just like a little stump and sticks for the next year's growth. But essentially, we're going to keep it real tight. And then around the outside edges, I'll take the BCS with a rotary plow and just plow the edges up, and then we'll add mulch each year. What this is going to give us is a kind of a low maintenance use of a kind of an odd space here. But it's going to be something that we don't mind getting dusty, and we don't mind getting a little ragged through the course of the year, because it's essentially cut and come again. Now this might mean that we won't get a good strong harvest every year, and the blackberries will get pretty thick, and we may actually till down the outside edges in order to remove some of the blackberry shoots so they don't spread. Because again, blackberries, raspberries, those types of things, if you don't pick this, if the seeds fall off or the birds get to them, we'll end up with raspberries in the woods over there, which is fine if they're out in the woods. But ultimately, how do we best use this space? So again, I'm leaving plenty of room for people to walk around, for the riding mower to get in here, and you can kind of see the riding lawnmowers trails. But they'll come in one side, go around, do a loop out in the yard back there, and come back again to cut the edge. So 2 passes. As far as the soil type, we start with the soil we got, and all these plants use the same kind of acidic soil, so we can come back and just kind of treat it for that. But there's mostly the same type of raspberry in here. But again, we're going to train them up vertical, cut them back hard every year based on what works best for the plant, and then that new growth is what puts out the fruit. So each year we'll have that new growth. It's real close where we can still pull in a wheel, we can pull in a wheelbarrow to feed. But we're kind of in an area that they're not going to have wet feed or anything. We're kind of in an area at the bottom of the hill that's not able to be used for much else. And so we're going to make the most of it. Now, could we have a little crop bed here? Yeah, we could. We could have vegetables here. We could have flowers would be another good thing to use for this space. But this is the best space for our blackberries. You can see it's about noon right now, and so they're going to get good sun, and they'll get shaded in the evening a little bit, which won't be such a bad idea if you're coming out here and picking blackberries in the summer. But ultimately, Well, that's what we're doing with the space. I'll give you some updates here as we're progressing.